Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vegas Legal Magazine podcast. I'm Mark Fierro with Fierro Communications and Tyler Morgan, publisher of Vegas Legal Magazine. Thank you so much for being with us today. For the past couple of years, one of the brightest spots in the Nevada revenue growth picture has been the advent of legalized recreational marijuana, with tourist numbers virtually paying the bill. That green money for cannabis has helped carry the state for the last couple of years, but now with the advent of the coronavirus, things are changing rapidly. Today, joining us, John Laub, the president of the Las Vegas Medical Marijuana Association. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Tyler.
So this has been another gut punch. The economy started turning around for Las Vegas, and then on top of that, with the advent of medical and recreational marijuana, tens of millions of dollars started flowing into the state. Things couldn't look better for us just a short time ago, due in large part to advent of legalized cannabis, and then this. This has really stress test the model of recreational cannabis, because as it turns out, so much of it was tourist dollars, wasn't it?
We're thinking probably 50%. That's the hit that the industry has seen in sales that's being reported. We haven't seen the state numbers, but 50% is a pretty good number. And what that does to the state, as you talked about the taxes, I calculated that we're about at the $18 million tax level per month. That's cut it in half, where we've lost $9 million in taxes. So we'll just say about $100 million in taxes for this year will be gone. That would have helped education, the budget. Sales tax is part of that figure. So, and Clark County uses its tax money to pay for the homeless. So that money is cut in half. It's going to be a big deal.
Have you heard anything? Has there been any updates in regards to the dispensaries opening up, at least for people to be walk-in or curbside pickup?
No, we haven't heard any updates. I asked the governor to start doing I sent him a letter, him and Tyler Klimas, that we should start doing a soft opening for the dispensaries, social distancing, mask, gloves, that type of thing. And haven't heard back. We'll just say that. So we want to put the idea out there.
How much would that change things in your estimation? The idea, because there are a lot of stores now, a lot of restaurants that you can go right to the door. You don't have to walk inside or anything else, pick up your order and walk away. What might that do to the revenue picture, do you think?
Well, it's going to help it. We're more concerned on the, we'll say, customers/patients. It does cut out the delivery charge. You can pick up your medicine or your adult use marijuana on the same day. Sometimes the delivery is next day, depending on how many drivers they have, how busy they are. So it declutterizes the whole system.
Did you hear about any major issues on 420, or was everybody able to get their products delivered?
I think everybody kind of stocked up for 420. It was we encouraged virtual meetings, much like this, to celebrate 420, and so I know people were scrambling to be at home at 420 in front of a computer.
So I was
that went on.
One of the things that I thought was interesting that a lot of people don't know is I think it's Nuwu is on the Indian reservation. Is that who it is?
Yeah.
So are they're open and operational, correct?
Yes, they are. Oh,
so
let's talk about Nuwu. I think where you're going is that they have a drive-through window, which because they're on an Indian reservation, they're allowed to have one. It used to be the only one in the state. Now there's another tribe up in Elko, Shoshone tribe, and they opened up this last Saturday, with a drive-through. And so that one's been busy. But Nuwu has lines around the block for people wanting to use a drive-through. It's it's great to see.
Wow.
I imagine that the industry is watching that very, very closely, because if there's not a problem with the Indian reservations, then it would seem that there is a great way to bring money, to bring additional revenues to the state.
Yeah, it's the industry would love to have a drive-through windows, and now it's the county commission. Actually, Commissioner Jim Gibson has suggested to the county to start looking at drive-through windows as a way to help revenues for the state and primarily the county. And so he's been talking to the Attorney General and working with the governor, trying to get the governor to maybe allow drive-through windows, at least in Clark County, but I think in Southern Nevada or the state. I think it's a great idea.
So let's talk for a moment, if we would, about delivery. I know that some of these companies actually had a delivery service in place. You would see billboards all around Southern Nevada that said, you can get this delivery. And by the way, they're very high-end graphics. It seemed like they had been doing it for a while. It's not something that somebody just jumped up and threw up on the wall to see if it would stick. So how many had delivery in place prior to any of the COVID-19 issues?
I think they all had delivery in place, but it changed once COVID-19 came in, and delivery was everything. So I know, let's see, it was Plant 13 went from, I think they had 3 delivery vehicles to 28 now. So it's a major change. There's also a couple delivery companies out there that were licensed, and those companies are very busy. So everybody has jumped on the delivery model. It's the only way. So it's quite a change.
Do you know if any like cultivators or producers have been sort of having to store excess product in their vaults because of the shortage of sales, and therefore their inability to get the product into the dispensaries as they normally would? Has there been a slowdown on the wholesale end?
That's a great question, because nobody's talking about it, but there has to have been there's a slowdown. So they're storing product. It's very tricky to when you have excess product. It's a complete change for the industry, because we've been right at the just barely enough product to meet demand, and now it's flipped on its head. And if you start lowering prices, those prices stay at the bottom or stay at that low level from that point on. So people are reluctant to lower prices, but the impact of excess inventory is going to start to cause that. So we'll see a change in the industry on that. Good call, Tyler.
You know what seems to me is this is part of what made America great, but that the big guys who know that they can sustain will push those prices down and starve a lot of the smaller players out to the extent possible. You would think that would be one of their first moves, because they're not as dependent on cash in the near term. You think that's a possibility?
It's a possibility, and we worry about that in the industry. We've been worrying about it prior to this because there was a limited number of dispensary licenses. And if you had a cultivation and you didn't have a dispensary license, you didn't have a guaranteed outlet. And so you're subject to this problem of being squeezed. Now with this COVID-19 and less sales, it heightens the problem, so to speak. So we'll see it. There is some discussion, back to the licensing debacle that happened with the state, and there was basically 40 more licenses in Clark County, but they went to kind of the big guys, and there's been a lot of lawsuits. That might open up to everybody getting a license, so that might change things. So we'll just have to see how the Cannabis Compliance Board, trying to think of that name, CCB, handles that issue, and that's probably the biggest issue in front of them right now. They don't start till July 1st.
Do you see any, have you heard of any talks of them possibly issuing any more cultivation production licenses Or do you think this whole issue with the dispensary licenses sort of kind of put the kibosh indefinitely on any issuance of new licenses?
Yeah, you're right now. It's not any. There's enough cultivation and production licenses out there, and so people who want to buy licenses from existing holders, you can do that. It's the dispensary ones that are kind of in demand right now, and it could change, but right now we're just meeting demand as far as supply, and now with COVID-19, as we talked about, we have too much supply, and so we'll say the price for cultivation licenses has gone down.
Do you think that could affect the market value tax rate in any way because of all this? Or you think you could see a lowering of that, of the 20, I think it's like a 22,306 or something is the market value that they tax on?
Yeah, it's going to affect the personal property tax, and it's going we'll see what happens. It's funny on taxes. Taxes never go down, even in bad times. They only go one way, and so it's going to be a bit of a squeeze for the industry. The other side of this is, as these smaller players get squeezed, prices come down on these licenses. As I think it was the Rothschild said, when there's blood in the streets, that's when there's opportunity. So there are people out there waiting. They see the blood in the streets start to happen, and so they're looking for opportunities to expand cultivations, dispensaries, whatever it might be. So that's what we're seeing in the future.
Warren Buffett put it succinctly, when everyone's greedy, be scared. When everyone's scared, get greedy, right? That's the time to make the move. In that light.
That's true. So yes, there's an opportunity in every crisis.
In that light, give us big picture. You hear from a lot of these dispensaries, and by the way, point of disclosure, our firm Fierro Communications represents some of those people who are involved, who did not get licenses in that last go around. But give us the big picture of the industry. This industry meant so much just a short time ago to the success of the state of Nevada, as you said, to education, to dealing with the homeless issues that are so rampant in Southern Nevada. Give us the big picture. Where do you think the industry is right now?
Well, the industry was hit a record month in January from the state reports that we saw. It was the 64 million in sales, and we've been on about we'll say 12 to 15% growth for the year over year. And so the industry was just getting bigger and better. We were looking at to have more have consumption lounges. There is only one consumption lounge right now, and that's of course with Nuu, on tribal land, and that has gone well. It's gone smooth. They haven't seen any problems with that, because the problem right now, tourists have no place to legally consume, and so we see that change happening. Some of the thought was that the casinos eventually wanted to have consumption lounges, so they kind of fought the bill 2 years ago when we were pushing to have that legalized through the state. So, in the long run, this is a big industry. It's growing. It should continue to grow. It should be in more states. We're seeing our companies expand to other states. So it's the long term. It's a great industry. But right now, it's a little tough to be in it. But we'll get through this like everybody else.
Las Vegas always comes through somehow, some way. No matter how dark, Las Vegas always manages to pull through. John Laub, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Sincerely thank you for your time. Remember to like and share the Vegas Legal Magazine podcast on Facebook. You can also catch us on YouTube, iTunes, or Stitcher. And for all of you out there with a story idea, an axe to grind, you can get a hold of Vegas Legal Magazine, the leading legal magazine in Southern Nevada legal market. You can call Tyler Morgan at
702-222-3476.
Reach out, tell us, tell your friends. Be safe out there. Have a good one.